training.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. I'm here with the wonderful Charles Delph. Hello, Charles. How you doing?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. So we are
Yeah, glad to be
continuing.
back.
Yes, it's
So,
good. It is awesome to have you back. We are continuing our ongoing series this week on FM BetterForms, which is the ability to create web apps and integrate it with your FileMaker databases. It's been really awesome so far. Today we've got some really cool stuff we're going to be doing. It says Portal Basics, but we also were like shown some snippets of last evening, not yesterday evening, afternoon. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm in my own time zone that we're doing this. What's in the afternoon? Anyway, it's been a really awesome series so far. I'm looking forward to seeing the recordings. I'm kind of excited to get us started, Charles. So what do we do today? Where are we starting
awesome.
off at?
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to continue with where we left off yesterday. But before that, I had a few people message me yesterday afternoon, well, my last night, and they asked about a few things. They asked about integration. How do we integrate with apps like WordPress or our marketing site, for example? So I wanted to show you a couple really, really cool examples, and then we'll jump into things. So I'm going to share my desktop here. Hopefully it's the right one. And let's start with kind of a neat integration. This is with, I believe it's a WordPress site. Let me pull it onto the screen here. And this is a site that was made by a Dutch consulting company called Logix, and unrelated to this Logispace, that's one of their clients. And this is just a WordPress site. And what makes it kind of neat is the integration of FileMaker. So I believe sorry if I get this a little bit wrong, but this company that they built this app for, and I'll show you the app in a second, they rent space in and around the Netherlands. So I believe it's under here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller as well here because my screen resolution's down. All right. This app is half WordPress, what you're seeing, but from about here all the way down to the bottom over here is FM BetterForms. Okay, so
Interesting.
yeah, so I believe it's in an iframe, or it should be in an iframe anyway, pretty positive. But this stuff here and this Google map is all within BetterForms. The data that's being rendered here is coming out of an actual FileMaker database. So it's a really, really neat example. Let me see. So hold this to zoom. So if I can zoom in, and actually here's Antwerp. So I'll give a shout out to coming up is Engage You. That's going to be in Antwerp this year. We went 2 years ago. And that was kind of neat. So if I was looking for some space, I could see that there's some space here. And if I click on that, I can see all the details of that particular item. That data, again, is coming out of FileMaker, right? And I believe they can do some searching and things like here as well. So this is using Google Maps. They have an embedding within BetterForms. And available palette spaces, whatever that is, and number of palettes, I don't know, 500 sounds like a good number. And I'm going to say cool. And hopefully I'm not messing up their data. So I apologize, Joran. And it looks like it comes up with another window, and they go on and they fill out the rest of the information from here. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get I don't know what happens when I fill that out. So. But if anybody has any questions about that, it's pretty simple to do this kind of thing. This is really just a regular app, and then you stick it inside an iframe. Right? That's kind of the gist. If you do have something where you need BetterForms to talk to that WordPress site, you can do that as well, because WordPress on the front end is JavaScript, and BetterForms can communicate outside of that iframe. There's a technique with posting a message to the frame and things like that. It's a little bit more complex. You have to work out with it with your WordPress developer, but it's really easy on the BetterForms side. So we've done a number of integrations like that with e-commerce sites as well. They're not necessarily embedded all the time. Sometimes they'll have links that come from the main site and they go into a separate app. I'll show you another one. This one here is kind of neat. I'm going to give some of these developers some shout outs. This one is done by a North American developer. The company is a great company. They're called NaviQ. And let me just see if I can find Great Kids Education. I don't know the exact name, so let me see if I can find it. Here it is here. And this is pretty cool. This is a WordPress site. This is their marketing site, but they
Mhm.
seamlessly integrate into their FileMaker data. So if I navigate to the store, and what this company does is sell, I think K8 educational resources. All right. So this page here is that FM BetterForms site. This is a great, brilliant example of e-commerce, and their team has gone through a few iterations and things like that. And from what I understand, it's doing quite well for them. This was originally designed as a Shopify
Ooh.
site. Now, Shopify is like a really big company. It's like, why would you want to build something yourself out of Shopify? Because you have your distribution materials are somehow related to FileMaker. And you need a lot of customization, a lot of logic, maybe special pricing and special tiers and all kinds of things that Shopify you couldn't easily build, or if unless you wanted to spend, $50 or $100,000 doing that integration. So in this case, this is a whole e-commerce site. You wouldn't know this is a FileMaker site. And again, the other day somebody was asking, well, why can't I can build all of these things in WebDirect? You can't really build this in WebDirect. You sort of kind of could build something, but it's not going to be the same experience. The biggest thing is, things like filtering of data. You could sort of do that, but you wouldn't be able to have the data flow properly. You wouldn't be able to have the site responsive. Those kinds of things are what you'd be missing. So basically what happens is school faculty would log in, they would search for products, they would have a look at one of their products here. And in this case, this is a deep dive into something or other. All of this information here is all dynamic. So this stuff changes depending on the type of product. So the view of the item is different. You imagine t-shirts versus socks. You have
Mhm.
t-shirt sizes are different than sock sizes. Same type of an idea here. They can add some items in. So I can add some items into my cart. And I've added that item. There's a little animation here. I'm going to go to my catalog again. And let's go back and maybe we'll look for something else. Here's some other items. The UX designer here was Pearson, actually, who's going to be on tomorrow. He did the design for this. He might even be talking about it. Um, he did something that's kind of cool, and I don't sort of see this directly too often. This type of widget. You see these plus and minus widgets a lot,
Mhm.
but you don't see them on the actual card where you shop, right? That it says that it's already been added to the card. So I thought that's kind of nifty here. And then we have a cart over here, side tray that opens up and I can delete some of these items and so on. And then when I'm ready, I would log in and I'm just going to pop off so I don't reveal the credentials at
Mhm.
all here. And I'm just going to log in. This is just a test account. So I just want to make sure I don't sort of violate anything. All right. So I've just logged in here and I'm going to go back to my cart and I'm going to go to my checkout. And now I have this really nice checkout experience. Again, it's responsive and it's not responsive. It's responsive in kind of a neat way. Here is
Mhm.
my items, my actual cart, and then here's some payment information, and that card information goes on top. Yeah, there it is. It goes on top of the payment information. So it sort of does one of those kinds of things where it shifts over, which is really nice.
Yes.
They've incorporated some different stuff, and it's really neat. This is one of the things why you want to be able to be in control of your own app. Um, One of the things that came up, from my understanding, with them is they wanted to make sure people can scroll all the way to the end of their license and terms, right?
Ooh.
So before I can continue, I have to scroll all the way to the end of the terms and condition. So they just added that little feature in, and then once it's there, probably set some internal flag or something, then they can continue to purchase. They've integrated a number of payment gateways in here. Here is a card, so you can see there's pops up some card information and all the expiry dates and all of that stuff. I think that was safe, and or they can do ACH payments where they do that direct transfer or even purchase orders because they are dealing with schools. They've added the ability to drag a purchase order onto here, so you just drag one on and then you upload that with your order. So it's a pretty polished experience.
No, this is very clean. Like this is very nice. It looks great. Uh,
You know
and
what the best part is?
what?
You don't know it's FileMaker. And I don't mean that in a negative way, But FileMaker apps tend to kind of look like FileMaker apps, but this is a web app, and that's the main difference. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel, you would not know, anybody who's using this wouldn't know that it's powered by FileMaker. And if you have any, to the developers who are saying, well, I don't know if I can build a web app and FileMaker is a good enough tool for that. Maybe I need Mongo, maybe I need Postgres, or maybe I need MySQL. No, FileMaker is totally fine. We've literally built hundreds, and that's not an exaggeration, hundreds of apps that, well, we haven't built hundreds, well, we've built maybe 100, 150 or so, but we've seen in our community hundreds and hundreds of apps, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all powered by FileMaker working fine.
Yes. No, FileMaker does what it does very well, and there's really no competition within the genre that it serves, frankly.
Totally agree with that. You know what's brilliant about FileMaker, and I don't mean to be a total FileMaker shill,
I mean, we are, it's
but
FMTV, we're all FileMaker shills.
yeah, true enough, right? So I definitely drink the Kool-Aid in that sense. But I do work with other platforms and other environments, and FileMaker has business logic built in, and that's such a powerful thing. That means the scripting. You have the database, you have
Hmm.
calculations within the database, which you don't have all databases. You have scripting engine, which is pretty powerful. It does everything that you need it to do.
Hmm.
Uh, there's not much that the scripting engine can't do. Um, and that changed probably about 5, 7 years ago when we started having better insert from URL and ability to reach out to
Hmm.
the rest of the world. Okay, you want to see something really cool?
Yes.
Okay, okay, check this out. I'm gonna actually, yeah, I'll use this site here. So I pulled this up,
Hmm.
and if anybody has questions, we can always jump back to that. So please feel free to chime in. And let's say we wanted to embed an app into here, into this
Yes.
starting point. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab a little snippet of code from our documentation for a demo app. And I'm just going to go into the developer tools because I don't have control over this site. This is obviously a site that's built in some platform. I don't know what,
Hmm.
don't care. But I don't have control over that. But what I can do is I can go into the console, right? Clicking and saying inspect. That's what I've done here. And I can go into the console and I can paste in some code. So I'm going to paste in some code that will add a widget into this app. Now, this can
Hmm.
happen in any app, and normally you would add those widgets, very similar to like Google Tags or chat widgets and things like that, support
Hmm.
widgets. And I'm just going to paste my code in here. There we go. And I don't know, let's play Where's Waldo. Can you spot what's something that's been added onto this app?
I thought I saw a flash of it for a second.
I'll
I,
give you a clue. It's down over here.
it's down. Oh!
That's not your app. That's our app. That's my app. I just jacked that in. Okay.
That's cool. That's
Now,
very cool.
what's really cool is check this out. This now I have a database down around here. Let me just see if I can find it. That's not this one. Just a sec. I have a database. This is just our examples database. This is a new template that we've just come out with, I think, last a month or so.
Hmm.
Um, now I have a database here, and the database has a whole bunch of people. Now, normally you wouldn't give full access um, to a chat bot, but let's have a look at what this thing does. So I'm going to open this up, and it pops open a window. Right?
Hmm.
This in here is an FM BetterForms app, right? So it's that little snippet of code pulled the BetterForms app in and it jacked it into this page. So we actually have a full chat app. Now, this example is actually connected to our BetterForms documentation.
Hmm.
We just did that as an example, but you could connect this to your own corporate docs and
Hmm.
support things. And basically, if you had a knowledge base a knowledge base on, say, FM Starting Point, you could have this bot answer questions. So if I was to say like, what database does now we would normally be FM Starting Point data, but
Hmm.
better forms connect to and excuse me. All right, FMBoard was designed to work directly with FileMaker databases if you have a specific integration question. And it's also actually prompting me to book a demo. So the reason for that is because on our marketing page, we'll actually throw it on here when we do our next update. So here's the same thing built into this marketing page here, and now it can answer any questions about stuff.
That's cool. That's extremely cool. It's really
Yeah,
cool that you can so easily integrate it. On the
pretty
AI.
simple. It's an app. It's the same app. Like this could be
Mhm.
that app that we built with FM Starting Point. Yeah, the same way. Sorry.
No, that's really cool. I think that's fantastic, honestly.
It gets better though,
Okay.
right? So remember, this is a web app. This is
Mm,
not just some AI assistant. It's not like I just got Intercom or one of these chat things and I made something. This is actually integrated with our FileMaker database because it is a BetterForms app. So let's see how we've integrated that. And if you want to learn more about, I'm not going to get into the deep technicals of this because that's like a whole
mhm.
conversation. But I will tell you where you can find it if you go over to YouTube, search for FM BetterForms to our channel, and you go through. I think it's our last Friday live. Every month we have a Friday live show, and our
Mhm.
most recent one right here, videos. Sorry, if you go into videos, here it is. Here, streaming API. This one talks about that. That's an hour and a half or something like that, 2 hours, and we
Mhm.
talk about all the inner workings and how everything works there. So let's say we wanted to give access. I wanted to know how old Alfie Sherman was. So I'm going to say, how old is Alfie Sherwin? Is it Sherwin? Let me just make sure. Sherwin.
Looks like it. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, it's a Y. There you go. Yeah.
yeah. Is this the right one? I just want to make sure. Now, we normally, again, I know people are going to say, oh, but security. This is an example. We're not filtering them out, right? So here, I thought we had this. Let me just say, okay, search. I may have to change the prompting. Search the people table, something like this. Pretty sure it was connected. So I haven't actually tried it since last week. Okay,
Ah!
everyone's 3 years old. So let's just make sure they actually are. Yeah, 3 years
Yeah.
old, right? So I say, okay, so what other? This is just fake data. So it's an example or a
Mhm.
um, sampling of 1,000 people. So of ages 0 to 1 to whatever. So there's probably 10 or 23-year-olds. There's another one here, for example, Alfie Doak. So here are the people. So it's listed all the people. There's Alfie Doak and all the other ones here that are in my database. So you say, okay, well, this is cool. What's a real
Mhm.
world use case of this? Because this is an AI thread, the AI can say, can you tell me what your, and then whatever you want to use to authenticate them is, what your
Mhm.
secret password plus your email address is, or what your last 3 digits of something are, whatever you want to use to authenticate. It goes into that conversational thread. And then when you call this function, there's a function in here, and we can talk maybe some other time if I'm ever allowed to come back. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
you're always welcome.
we can talk about how function calling and things like that work. It's taking advantage of a little bit of FileMaker's, mostly FileMaker scripting, not so much the FileMaker new script steps because we actually built this about 2 years ago.
Okay, so do you use insert from
Um,
URL on the FileMaker end?
exactly, it's
Okay.
exactly it. But you can be using all the FileMaker's steps as well. So it's basically just running a script in FileMaker, and it's saying I need to know the first name or a find on the last name or a find on the age or and then you can add a second criteria for that find based on some security premise. So you can totally lock this down through that conversation, very similar to when you call the phone company or your bank and they open up a chat widget, and then you can start interacting with things. You can anything, any kind of script that is in here, you can absolutely run right from here. So that's an example of one of the features that's kind of it's not overly used in BetterForms. We use it quite a
Mhm.
bit ourselves internally, but it's a newer feature with a streaming API there and the ability to embed these web apps and these widgets.
No, that's really cool. There's some question about the AI model. Like, is it a local AI model? How much does it cost to run? I assume you're just talking with OpenAI or something, or
This particular one is using OpenAI. Our API that we're using, it's designed to be scalable. So we call the LLM via a proxy. We have in our docs, we have let's see if I can hear APIs and services, streaming proxy. Here it is here. With this is the service it's using here. And basically you can connect up to any of the frontier models. We
Mm-hmm.
don't use an open model, an open source local model. And we don't do that basically because you don't have to maintain it. And honestly, for the ROI that you get, it's not going to be costing you that much. We use OpenAI as one of our providers quite heavily. We send it 10 to 30K tokens of context per chat message. And
Mm-hmm.
even then, it only costs us 50, $70 a month. So it's relatively cheap. And with the cheaper models for something like a chatbot, you can use like OpenAI's 4.1 mini,
Mm-hmm.
and it work totally fine. It's dirt cheap. So you'd be pretty hard pressed, especially for a public facing site. There's no reason to say, oh, I gotta have my data locally because you're sending it out on the net anyway. So it wouldn't make any sense, in my opinion.
Yes. They're
Right.
curious. Okay, they're asking how the model knows about FM Better Form. Is it like a RAG? Did you fine tune it?
Right. So the model doesn't technically know about FM better forms. It knows about FileMaker though. So what happens is, in short, when I chat here, you can think of this just as a chat bot that's
Mm-hmm.
making calls and coming back. We've given it tools. Their tool use is a function that came about 2 years ago or so, a year and 3/4 ago, for all the frontier models. And basically, you have a definition of a FileMaker tool. And the tool looks something like, actually, I'll show you really, really quick here. Just a sec here. Web chat handler, just a sec. We have what's called functions. These are the tools that we gave that particular one. Find people, get person, find products, get invoice, get web page content, so it can do a little bit of crude scraping, and database CRUD, so it can actually write to the database. So let's have one that's called find people. This is actually what the tool looks like. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to a layout, entering a find mode. Now, the arguments, the data that's passed in to this script comes from the LLM. So the LLM says in the tool definition, we say you have to supply either an ID or a name first, name last, an age, or a gender. And we go into find mode. We create all of these finds. It's a compound find request. We do a perform find. We limit it or truncate it to 20 records. Get the first 20, and we return that as a response. And that's it. So that basically is how you create a tool. And this is exactly the same for FileMaker 25, exactly the same kind of workflow. And that's how you create that tool. And then we have different ones like get person would get just the details for one person. So in this case, it's only grabbing them by ID. And I'm using that. Let me see, am I using get column? I'm using that get column because I'm only looking at that one criterion. And I'm returning that. So that's how, in short, that's how the LLM knows about FileMaker through these scripts, only the stuff that I've exposed. Excuse me.
Okay, that's really cool. The dirty question, can we get the file?
Yeah, absolutely. This is available. And I did do a search today on our docs. There is a link. My AI told me that there was a link in our docs to that helper file. So if you search helper somewhere in here, there is a link to the helper. In that same folder is this example file, and you can download that for free.
There you go. There you go. Oh, someone named Silas says hello. I don't know if you
Silas
know.
is one of our team. So
Ah!
can I give a kind of a quick shout out to our team?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to mention really quick, just a little bit about us, and try not to plug too much here. So we're located in Canada. If I could find our team, here we go. And most of our team all of our team are virtual, but most of them are located in Canada, but they're spread out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Alex is over in Poland right now, and Jason's on the East Coast, and Pearson's going to be on tomorrow. Eduardo is the guy who basically takes care of all of the cloud and the infrastructure and has built out this whole network, our whole our whole cloud system. And Linsha takes care of a lot of our documentation and does a lot of development within the app and so on. So we're a pretty tight team. Neil Nelson here, he takes care of all of our marketing, so all of that stuff that you see, and puts all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff together. And here's this guy here, and that's the guy we were just talking about there. He's actually working on some AI, really cool AI stuff within it, and integrating so that our AI assistant can actually see all of our videos and things like that. We'll talk about how all of that stuff works in our Friday Live, our own internal podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So you're welcome to come join onto that. And then there's Hassan. He's our team lead for BetterForms, product owner, and he basically governs. He tells me what I have to work on, and how I what I need to pay attention to, and so on. Anyway, and Roger. Anyway, it's a great team. I really enjoy working with these with this crew. So
No, that's
anyhow.
awesome. And like I said, it's a real pleasure to have you guys on.
All right, let's continue building the stuff that we did yesterday, which is going to be basically, so what we've done over the past few days, we fetched the active invoices and
Mm-hmm.
estimates, and we're going to kind of build out this rest of this workflow. Now I have all of my estimates here. I want to jump into this estimate, and we'll clean up this page. We'll add some more stuff onto here. We don't really have too much for the address in here, just the billing address and whatnot. And then we want to add a button. Somebody asked us, how do we add a button to do something,
Yes.
to change this from a estimate into an order? And we'll do that right now. So let's have a look at how that would work. I'm just going to close this guy and that guy. And we'll jump back over to here and clean up this. Okay. So I have this estimates page here, and I just want to show you how I made this chart and this stuff. I got kind of lazy, and I think that's kind of okay. I'm going to search for an HTML element. Just going to pop that on to our
Mm-hmm.
page. And let me just do this for a second. I'm going to talk about styling in just a second here. Okay, so I got this HTML element, and I am going to open up our HTML editor. I don't really need to know any. I'm going to use our AI. I'm going to say create a pretty estimate screen view
Mm-hmm.
that user can review the model estimates. Let's just start with something like that and see what we get here. Okay, so it's starting to create a thing. It's grabbing all the data. Now remember, we got that data from, let me just see if you want anything else added, do more columns, let me know. Yeah, okay. All right, we grabbed that data from an example estimate here.
Mm-hmm.
So that was real data. That's a snapshot of real data. And let's see how that looks. So I'm gonna hit save here, and there it is there. I'm gonna hit save, and then let's jump over, and we'll jump back into one of these. And there we go. So there is our estimate, but it's got a little bit of redundancy in here. We sort of say it up here.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we'll leave some of this stuff. It does say dead, and then it says unpaid. So this thing is not really quite the right one.
Mm-hmm.
So we may want to, let's maybe get rid of this button, or we'll turn this status into something else. And I think we already got this formatted as numbers, as currency. So it's already taken care of that for us. And it's actually created this total, because if you remember, we didn't actually have the total. We didn't pass it the total. So the AI did that. There's no total in here. Right.
Wait,
Now you
so
could, if we had a total field,
mm-hmm.
that would use that.
So it decided to total the information from the two line items itself?
Exactly.
Okay,
Right.
nice. Convenient.
And yeah, I don't know how it did that. Why it did what it did, but it used some JavaScript inside internal to here, and it did some summing of these rows and added that stuff up and
That's
figured it all out. But
positively
that's the beauty of
nifty.
it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. Okay, so I want to just show you a couple other things. I noticed it created a bit of a card view right here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which probably, I don't know, my UX designer, I know he would say, why is there a card view and why are these items outside of the card view? And he'd probably change some stuff around here. So, but I want to show you how we go about styling things in better forms. You can
Mm-hmm.
use the AI and say, I'll change this color to that and stuff. But for some creative stuff, it's nicer to kind of like slide things around and be a little bit more tactile. So I'm going to select maybe let's look at this header area here. Um, so you can sort of see a tree view, and I can see there's this header, and maybe I want to change the background color. So this background color right in here, right? So I'm going to change that. So Better Forms has the ability to work with different. You don't actually technically need to know any CSS.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do know some, you can use that. And if you're really comfortable using CSS, we actually have the ability to fully do real hardcore CSS.
Ooh.
I'm going to be honest with you, I never do that. I virtually never do. And in fact, even in our app, we have a big bold thing that says don't touch the CSS because you don't need to. You shouldn't have to. And the
Okay.
reason we don't have to is because we use one of the CSS frameworks that we've added in. And I've chose as a developer to add it in, and almost everybody does, is called Tailwind. Tailwind's this neat way of kind of defining things without learning any CSS. So if I
Mm-hmm.
pick this background here, where is it here? Header here. Let me just see. I just want to make sure I'm on the right page. Yes, estimates. Okay, so let's pick this background here. And if I wanted to change the color, there are certain sort of keywords, if you will. One of them is BG for background. And then let's say I wanted a blue. And now you can see there's a whole bunch of blues here. And if I just mouse over, I can kind of play around with the colors. I
Ooh.
can make any color I want, but these are
The
preset colors.
defaults. I assume if you
Right.
type 55, you get a slightly different shade of blue.
These numbers are fixed, but you can actually create what they call arbitrary values, and you can
Mm-hmm.
create virtually any color or any hashtag color
Mm-hmm.
you want as well. So let's go with a really kind of a dark one, maybe, or actually we'll go because we won't see the text there. So we'll go with a light one there. And you can do other things as well. Like for example, I could say rounded, and I could adjust the corner rounding. So I'm going to say rounding large onto that. And let me just move off of that. There it is. You can kind of see it there.
Nice.
And I'm going to put a little bit darker border. So I'm going to go border two. Maybe that might be a little too thick. Let me click off to see. We should probably change the color of the border. I think that would make it easier. If it's the same color, it's hard to see. So border, 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 blue. And then let's make it like a darker border here, something like that.
Nice.
And let's add a shadow. If I could spell shadow.
Okay, the
And
fact that you can just keyword this is very nice.
yeah, and you can change these too. Like if I jumped into here, I can just edit that and pick anything else. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can jump down and redial that in a little bit more. So let's see what we got here. So let's save that. It's going to be probably kind of a little bit on the ugly side. Yeah, for sure ugly. And you can see it's pushing right up to the edge. So I'm going to add a little bit of what's called padding. All right, so I'm going to add some padding. We can do this in a lot of things. So oops, sorry, margin, my mistake. Margin, let's say 4. There we go. And let's save that and let's see what we got. So now I've created this little header here. So that's how you go about doing styling of things. And what's kind of neat is you can add a lot of like with conditional things. In FileMaker, we can do conditional styling.
Yes.
On the web, we have even more flexibility there because you can set any kind of breakpoints, you can change anything and do anything you want.
Okay, how would you do conditional styling here?
All right,
Like,
so let's say on a small screen, let's go to a small screen for a second. So something like here. Let's do this. Close this for a sec.
mm-hmm.
And maybe here, I wanted this banner to go right to the edge. And that's a very common thing you do on a phone. You make it go right to the edge on a
Yes.
small screen, but on a big screen, you want it to be sort of this isolated
Yeah,
thing
you
here.
have the space to make it look pretty on a big screen. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm going to go back to that element. There's that group, that header group. And right now it has margin. Margin is the space on the outside. Think of like when you're writing in school, you have the margin on the side of
Mm-hmm.
the page. Padding is like you're inside a room and there's a little bit of padding. Um, And you can think of it like padding, like on the inside of something.
Yes.
So I don't need to change the padding. That's the space that's in between that box and the parent box. But I do want to change the one around the outside, the margin here. So right now it's margin 4. Actually, I'm going to, but on a smaller screen, I only want margin 4 maybe to be applied on a large screen. So I'm going to say medium or bigger. Oops, went a little quick there. MD. There. So on a medium-sized screen, the margin is going to be bigger. But as I
Hmm.
make that screen smaller, you notice that it just jumped up. Boom. There's right. And it jumps to that smaller one. I also want to get rid of that
Yes.
rounding on the smaller screen as well, because I don't want it rounded off on the smaller screen. Where is my rounded? Right here. So we just change that to from medium and bigger screen. Boom. And let's try this out now. So now when I jump smaller, you can see it probably get rid of that border too. But you see how you can change it. So it's pretty easy.
That was surprisingly simple. I thought that you'd have to add another keyword for that explicitly, not just slightly alter the current keyword.
It's
That's
kind of
cool.
like, think of it like a conditional. You're saying on a medium-sized screen, there's large, medium,
Hmm.
small, extra large, and so on. Excuse me. That you are adding you're adding this thing here.
Yes.
So, I mean, I could change the color. This would be kind of silly, but you could say medium, I want blue,
Hmm.
and otherwise, I want background yellow, background yellow, BG. Oops, I got an extra space in there. BG yellow, something like that. Now, that's not going to make a lot of sense, but let's see.
It'll look. It'll let you know that something's happening.
Oh, right. So that can go for all kinds of, and virtually anything that's visible. Right? I didn't really touch any. Technically, these are CSS tags if you really want to get really specific, but this is a really nice combination of being able to have full fidelity control over something, yet not have to learn that something, all the depth of whatever it
Which
is.
is nice and very much, like I said, it's very comfortable for FileMaker developers. We're used to our scripting languages being conversational.
Exactly.
Uh, a
Interesting.
quick question about this. Is a list of keywords that I can put in there in your documentation somewhere?
It's not well, there's a link to our docs, but you can, if you're looking for those, Tailwind CSS is the site that we're using. This is a really, really super common framework. Many
Hmm.
people may have heard of Bootstrap. Bootstrap
Yes.
is an older, I don't mean it's not being used, but it's age-wise, it's an older framework. Tailwind is a younger framework, um, maybe about 5, 7 years old or something like that. But what's the difference is it's called a utility framework, and that means you have little tiny words, keywords that represent design and shape and things.
Hmm.
So you can see if you want to use this. And by the way, if you're building web apps within FileMaker and you're using some tool, this is a beautiful library to use. And in fact, most of the AI coding models will use this because they can control it really easily.
Makes sense.
All right, let's add a button. This blue border is kind of driving me a little bit crazy, so I'm just gonna lose that. And that's a little bit better, but it's still I've kind of I uglied this thing up a little bit. Okay, let's add a button into here. That's gonna be our next thing. So I'm gonna search for button because we want to be able to convert this invoice. So I'm gonna drag that button into here. There it is here. I'm just gonna say margin bottom 0, so it's centered. All right, so there's a button. I don't want the button here. I want it over on this side. Now,
Mhm.
in FileMaker, we'd grab and drag the button. But
Yes.
when you grab and drag it, you're what they say absolutely positioning the button. That means it's not flexible
Hmm.
in the sense of it moves around. Then you have to turn on an anchor and you got some limited controls there.
Hmm.
The web, we got all kinds of controls. We got virtually everything because every application that's in your browser has to be, they're all using that same browser
Hmm.
framework. So I'm going to go to the parent, the thing that's holding these two elements. You can see there's kind of two elements, one element here, one element here, this one and that one, and they're inside this header framework. And right now I have this word flex. It basically means that things will stack up like one next to the other, like a sentence. So if
Hmm.
I was to add another button, it would stack up there as well.
Ah, okay.
Right. But what I really want to do is I want to justify these to the opposite ends. I want this one to go all the way that way and this one to go this way. So we
Okay.
actually use the word justify. And if I did justify center, it kind of centers them. If I say justify between, it tries to put the spaces in between them. And that's what I want. Justify around tries to put, I'm trying to point with my screen here, would make this space, and this space all kind of equal. Right. So you have a lot of flexibility in that. And that's just the web doing that. So
Okay. So you want
just
justify between.
between. Exactly. There
What
we
would
go.
that look like if you had three elements and not two?
Great question. So let's duplicate this one, Command D. And because it's between, it's
Mm-hmm.
equally spacing them.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
If I wanted, though, if I wanted this one, these two to be beside each other, like this is maybe a secondary button. Let me change the styling of this button to from blue to blue 100. And the text to be blue, let's say 700. So that there. So now I got this button. But I
Mm-hmm.
want these buttons to be kind of beside each other, right? So instead, for something like that, I'm just going to change the text so it makes sense. So this is primary button, and this one would be like typically what they call a secondary button. There we go. All right, like that would be like a cancel or a print or something else. You don't, we want it beside. So what we actually do, instead of justifying all of these things in between like that, I'm going to delete this. I would make this one greedy. So to make this greedy, I want it to hog up all the space and push these guys over to there,
Oh, okay.
right? So what I'm going to do is on this one here, I'm going to say what we call flex, and it's going to flex one. That means it's going to be kind of greedy. And maybe I want to put some space in between all of these items so I can actually add a space on the x-axis of maybe 2. Let's go 4 there. So now any new items are automatically spaced. So watch when I duplicate this, it has
Huh.
that space. So do you see the difference in the way you think about design now? It's
Yes.
you're thinking about how not just how it looks right now, but how it behaves. That's the main difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're designing for the web, you're thinking about how something behaves because now you can see that, right? That's behaving exactly as I wanted it to. Or maybe when I get to a small screen, it's not really quite fitting on there. Maybe I want to lose that. I don't want it to be in a row and I want to stack those
Yeah,
buttons.
you want to make the space vanish. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So I want to change that. So let's continue with this button. I'm going to delete this and I'm going to delete this one and I'm going to change this to, it's going to invoke this order. I'm going to say place order, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we need an action script. That's a script that's on the front end. When I push this button, that will run. So let me go over to my scripts, named actions or scripts here. And I don't think I have one. I got one that's called create invoice that was left over from my template. And I'm going to create a new one called place order. All right. And I'm going to connect that script to my button. So place order is in here somewhere. P. Oh, there it is. Okay. And now my button is connected to that script. Now let's do some stuff in that script. What we want to do is we want to call FileMaker. So we're going to, it's called perform a script in FileMaker. We call that a utility hook. And I'm going to change just this is an arbitrary value that we pass in to identify this particular button, and I'll call
Mm-hmm.
it place order. If I had more than one button, I would need this. I don't have more than one button on my page, so it's okay. Okay. And to show you that that is kind of working, let's have a look back over to FileMaker and we'll finish this off. So I'm going to just check. Oops, I'm going to just check. And it's called invoices. I should really change the name of that, but I'll leave it for now. And let's jump over to here. And let's go over to our invoices. This is the page that fetched that data. We did that the other day. Now we're in this script here, and this script is going to be the one that the button runs. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off and I'm going to change. I'm going to do one of those show custom dialogues or alerts, and I'm going to use the word success, and it says your order, your estimate, your, not your estimate has been converted. You wouldn't say these words because this is a developer words. You would say, order has been placed to order, right? By the way, and I see this all the time. Developers using words that are developer words. It's like,
Oh, yes.
I don't want to know that it's converted. I want to know that the order is placed. Is it on its way? That kind of thing. What's
Yeah.
my next step to do?
One of my
So,
favorite was accidentally calling a portal to my customer. The look he gave me could not have been filled
yeah,
more with
exactly. It's like,
disgust.
what? Am I going to another planet or something? Like, what's a portal, right? What's going to fly through it? Bad data. So, okay. So this is going to run this script, and it's just going to, right now, very minimal, right? It's just showing that alert. So let's just make sure that that's working. And you save this, and let's jump back over to here and place order. And then let me make sure. Sure. Let's go. Something happened to our dev server here. They go.
It's letting you know that it has opinions.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll sec here.
I do have
Okay. Well,
questions if you want to let
yeah,
that load
please.
for a
Please
second.
do.
Okay,
Now I'm going
cool.
to continue here.
Can you divide the right and left group for different padding, etc.?
Yes. Yeah, you can do that. So here's something's going on with my staging server here. I'll show you how to do that in a second, but you just say padding left PL
Mm-hmm.
4, padding right 9. You you're not limited in terms of design.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like a pretty bold statement, but an example is every web app you've ever used, everything in the browser, you can do all of those stylings that you see on any app, you have the same access because they're all using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, every one of them.
So basically, anything I've ever seen that I want to copy, I could copy.
Correct.
Okay. Uh, ID estimate.
Yeah, so I'm going to grab the ID of the estimate, and that's going to be coming in a JSON get element out of the model.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be under estimate. And I think we call it ID or something. Let me just see here. Estimates.
I think it's just straight ID. Yeah, but
Yeah, is that what we did?
no,
We used ID estimate.
it is
So it's
ID estimate.
estimate.id. This is the model, estimate.id estimate. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the copy, paste, estimate dot ID estimate. And this is JSON get element. So there's only 2 of those. I got an extra one in here. All right. So that grabs the ID of the estimate. So
And
that's
then
the one
puts
I
it
have to
inside that
change.
variable, right?
Pardon me?
Just making sure I understand this. When the JSON get element, it grabs the estimate and puts it inside the BF modal variable.
It's gonna grab just it as a variable right now.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
I probably have to find that one to invoke that button that's on that layout.
Mm.
Right over here, I want to basically find this. So I want to find out what layout this is. This is table 08's estimates browse. So, and whatever that is, 600 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do go to layout and go to layout. And I think it's this one here, 600A. It looks like that. 600A. So I go to layout, perform find. I know a lot of people don't like putting the finds in here. I'm going to stick it in here. Some people
Yes,
like,
I have been yelled
separating.
at about this before.
Yeah, yeah, bring it on. Right. And is it dollar? Is it ID estimate? Yeah. Is that what I called it? ID estimate. No, I called it ID
Yeah,
estimate. So
Yeah.
you really should have, we have our own consistency for naming, and we really should try to use the same one. Um, I think that should do it. All right, there we go. So that should find my estimate, ID estimate. You could enter find mode and all that performance stuff. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
know. Right. But I'm not going to bother doing that for simplicity here. So now we find the estimate. Now we can just click the button. So what is the button actually doing here? So let's find an estimate that hasn't been clicked. Go into layout mode. And it's this thing here. It looks like there's a couple of things
There's a
layered
couple
on top.
layers stacked there. Yeah.
Yeah, open related. So it's this one here. So let's double click on that and see what happens. Yeah,
The good old fashioned FileMaker button lag. There we go.
yeah. So is it passing any parameters? No parameters. So it's working on the context of this. So from the perform script, this one here, it's just called
Probably does a
estimate
sequence.
processes
Yeah.
0804.
There we go.
0804. That's what we have to remember. And that's all we have to call now, right? So browse, come
Mm-hmm.
in, browse. 0804. So where are we here? Let's go back to here. Perform script. So, I was trying to jump the gun on that one. 04, 08, 04. That's it. That one there. We should be good. Just- And let's see. Just a second here. One of my teams reminding me, he says, why are you demonstrating? It's not, I'm embellishing a bit. Why are you demonstrating with app staging? Because that's where you have to feel pain. I don't know if you guys use a staging and development environments, but I think it's really important to, um, if you have an app that's used by lots of users, not just 5 and 10, but hundreds, is you really have to make sure you're using that app daily as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're feeling any pains that they're feeling. Okay, so that should find the estimate, go to the layout, perform find, and I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to say exit script here for just a second.
Okay.
And the reason is I want to be able to debug this. And I don't have that many estimates that are going to convert.
Yes.
So, or actually, I won't even do this. What I will do is
You could just walk it through Script Debugger.
I could, but it won't have all the context and the variables. So I'm just going to do this for now.
Ah, okay.
I'll show you how we go about debugging things in BetterForms because this will give us a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the first time it's going to run, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to find the ID and it's going to show it's been converted. And then after that, let me just make sure I got my stuff all set up here. And place order, run utility hook. That's it for that. That's good. Place order. There's our modal. Okay, so that's working great. All right, now, so I've ran it once, but remember I had those words commented out. So how do you debug this? This is running on server, right? So you don't have any visibility
Mm-hmm.
into what's happening. And this is where our helper file kind of comes in. So I'm going to just close this. I'm going to re-enable these for now and save them. I'm not going to hit that button again. And I'm going to close this. And I'm going to open up our helper file. And let's grab that. Recent. And this is, remember, the helper file is
Mm-hmm.
a interface between the cloud and our app. So I'm going to go over to inbox, and inbox has all of my transactions. I'm going to go to my last transaction because I can see it's from my hook set called invoices, which really I
Mm-hmm.
should changing the name. Place order is the key that I added in. I'm the user, this user. Form service on utility. It's going to run a utility hook and it just exited. So I'm going to go back to here. So now what I can do is now I can actually debug it from here. So I can run the hook locally, run that script locally again and see what's happening. So I'm going to add,
Oh, so it'll actually go back to FileMaker, the other database, and run
yeah,
through it.
and with all of the
Okay.
right context, all of the right data.
So it's
Because
taking the
you have a
information
big
that,
page
okay, yeah.
and it's got tons of data on the page.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be filling that out every time. It's like, a bug, right?
Yes.
So that's a real pain in the butt. So I'm going to save this with a breakpoint, and that's the right one, yeah. And we're going to go back over to here. I'm going to open up my debugger right here. If you don't already have that on a key, shortcut key, take the time. That's the biggest takeaway. Make sure you know your shortcut keys for this instead of having to go to here. Just allows you to go so much faster. All right, run utility hook. So it's going to run the hook. I'm going to just advance or fast forward up until that point. So there we are. Here's my utility script that we just created. And this is the stuff that I want to check and test out. So I want to get my app visible in the background and make sure everything's going to be okay. So now we can just single step through here. Right, perform find. And it looked like I got 0 found. Right, so there's something wrong with my find. Maybe the way I've set it up or something like that. There's something wrong with this find. And the purists are going to say, oh, that's because you put it in all in one. But it's probably because I went so fast, right? And then I'm going to actually stop this here. And the reason I'm going to stop it is I don't want to convert some random found set. So let's go back and let's edit it. We'll fix the bug. See who can spot it. Bonus points. ID estimate. ID account. Ah, there's the problem. We're looking for
Okay.
the ID estimate and the ID
Yeah,
account.
got it.
All right, so it's this one here.
There you
Oh,
go.
now and okay. Right, now I can go back and I'll actually run it again from that helper file again for debugging rather than do it from the web where it happens so quick I don't get a chance to respond. All right, so let's open up that. Let's advance up to our spot. Here's our found set right here. So we should go boom, boom, boom. Oh, still something wrong. What did we do wrong? Let's make sure ID estimate has our ID
Say
estimate.
what
Yeah, it does have
information
the
is
primary
flown.
key.
Okay, it does have the key.
Yeah, so there's something else we're missing. Um, I think we're checking the right field. Let me just make sure. This is where we reach out to the community and say, hey, what do you see?
What are we missing here?
Prove how smart you are. ID estimate. ID estimate. That is ID estimate. Dollar ID estimate. That should work, right?
I think so. And it's grabbed the ID. So why is it not?
Yeah. Let's make sure we can search on that field. And
Oh yes, I mean that's always a fun one. Is it searchable in find mode? You think it would be, right?
yeah, you think so, but yeah, you never know, right? So let me just grab the ID of the estimate right here from here. It's from in here. Can we just grab the first chunk? Shouldn't grab the whole thing. And where am I here? I'm going to jump over to here. I don't think we have the ID. And this is, wouldn't it be nice to not have to put that junk field on there just to search for something? Because everybody does this, right? They go to here, they do this. Oops, I did the wrong one. They do this and remap that to the field. And then they have to remember to get rid of it. And then, of course, how many you don't get rid of?
You don't need to
Right?
call me out
And then
so
you go
much,
like this, and it's
Charles.
like, oh crud, I didn't make it respond. Like I didn't anchor it, so I don't even know where it is. Is it here? Like I don't even know where
Where
it
did it
is.
go? It floofed
It's
away. It
let's
left
put it
you.
right here. Let me put it above here, hang it
Okay.
off a little bit so it's visible. Is it
No,
there?
no records.
Oh,
Oh,
hold it. That's why I show all. Okay, so it's not enterable. Ay, ay, ay. I work in FileMaker UI very rarely because I just do mostly just scripting. Where's the
field entry, browse mode, find mode. Yeah, there you go.
find, paste, enter? Okay, so that works. So what's wrong with our find?
So why is it mad?
There's some,
Well,
there's some,
the field
something
on
wrong.
it is estimate display, not necessarily the actual estimate ID. Is that part of the
Well, this
problem?
one it gets the ID. The display is at 001 or 003 number. See,
Yes.
that's the display. It's this one here, ID estimate.
No, I know. I'm saying that we just added the ID. Is it trying to search on the I'm
I think it's the right one. find estimates ID. Oh, estimates right here. ID estimate. There's something obviously we're missing. So rather than, for the sake of time, we're gonna fake it because there's something that really
Someone asked
obvious
if we
and
saved the script. Did we save the
probably not.
script?
No, of
That's
course not. That's pretty generous. Come on.
that would. And we're both developers, so I should have said something. You can't.
I pair code, literally I've pair coded with hundreds of developers. And when you're pair coding, you see all of this stuff, right? And of course, when you're demonstrating, you're just driving. I'm not, it's like rally racing, right? You got one driver and one navigator. Turn left, turn right, save the
Yeah,
script. So hopefully that's it. Let's see if that's what it is, because
that
there
would
was a
be such
mistake
a
there.
FileMaker move to do. Did you save the
Classic.
script?
Yeah. Shoot, let's see here. Where is our file? Sorry, I gotta find our FileMaker file. Just a
No,
second.
you're good.
Yeah,
I
there
will
it is.
say, I know people always feel awkward about debugging stuff live and then having it not work, but that's one of the most educational things you can do
Yeah,
for the
I don't mind.
community.
I enjoy it because I know that it's just a simple mistake, and we all
Mm-hmm.
make them.
Yes.
I really encourage people, and I'll throw this out there again. Honestly, I've thrown this out for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years of talks. Nobody's ever taken me up on it, and maybe this will be different. But I'll pair with anybody 1-to-1 for hour. That's pretty generous because I think I do bring a fair bit to the table. Um, we'll work on your app for an hour. We'll work on my app for an hour. And the reason for that is I don't care even what their experience level is because I can go so much faster if they're paying attention and
Mm-hmm.
stopping me from making mistakes. And they also stop me from checking Instagram. They stop me from looking at Slack and all that other stuff because you're focused for that hour. And that's
Yes.
so productive. So
No,
if
I
anybody
know
wants to
exactly what
pair
you're
code,
talking about.
you got me for free, but I got you for free as well. All right. So let's do this again with a bit of luck. We're good. Boom, bam, boom. Bang. Well, I think that worked that time. Thank you for whoever said save.
Yeah, that was okay. I should have noticed that as well. So
We'll
it's
give
it's
you
a
a free
typical
1 day
FileMaker
license.
stunt. We aren't saving our
Right. And
our
I'm going to
scripts.
start this script
Yeah.
and it's going to jump into the script. So it's obviously running the script. So I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
actually run it here. I know my script is all good now. Let's actually try it from the web. And I think we should be able to see. I don't know what happens specifically in this exact one, but this is the one here. Let's clean this up, clean this up. Boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. And that is here. So we should be good to go, right? I think everything
Yes.
should be good to go. So let's shrink this down a little bit so we can kind of see the action.
Yep.
I have no idea. It's been a while since I used this template, so I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's
We'll see what
find
it does.
you've estimate. Does it do something here? Oh, yeah, it didn't. I clicked when I clicked it, updated the invoice. Now it's open related invoices. So it's
Yes.
actually gone through, it's created the invoice now, and we've changed the data. I don't know if it changes the status. We don't change the status. I'd probably change the status to something, or maybe you would remove this invoice or
Mm-hmm.
stop it from being displayed, but I probably wouldn't put the status as active. So let's do that really, really quick. We'll go over to FileMaker. We're already on that record.
Mm-hmm.
We're on that record. There's a profined. Let's change the status. Change the status also. And whatever that status field is. Utility estimates. I know I used the status here. What was the status here? Status active, I think. So I just want to find out the field and getting, so it's called
Yeah,
estimate
there you go.
status. So I'm going to go from active to not act. I don't know, some other word. So let's go back to that and set field status.
All the way down in the endless. Yep.
Status. There we go. And we'll, I don't know, placed, ordered something. What's the next
Ordered
step?
sounds good. I want to
Process.
use converted, but you're right. That's a developer word.
Yeah, I'm going to say processing, right? Yeah, we
There we
want the
go.
words that are useful to that person. We don't forget we have to commit the record.
Yes.
Commit record. There we go. And that's it. We should be good. So
Excellent.
I won't be able to do it on this invoice here, but let me find all of them again. And let's try that one there. That one's moved to estimates. It says dead. I'm going to make it active
Okay.
there. And now
Then
we
we
should
can
be
go
able to
back
do
and find it.
that. I noticed that sometimes these on here doesn't, FileMaker doesn't always commit. Is that the right one? Let me just see. Is there a number? Two.
It's the
Estimates
dead
two.
one that's saying it's dead but hasn't
Yeah,
actually.
but I don't, it's not the BetterForms one. I think it's when it fetches the data, maybe it's not committing. Let me just click out of the record there and go back.
See, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. So there could be a commit on here
Mm-hmm.
that when I changed it, I didn't click out of the field and it didn't automatically commit. We normally don't think about that in FileMaker because we're just navigating away and we just commit as we move along. But that's what happened there. The record wasn't committed. So let's jump into that invoice or that estimate. We're good to go. We want to convert that. Right now, the status is active.
Mm-hmm.
So I should place the order. Your estimate has been changed. My UI might not have updated here. This is 02. So let's go back over to here, unless I didn't update this thing. It is switched over here. I wonder if I got the right field.
Uh, it is a drop down. It is a value list drop down, so maybe it's having.
Yeah. Oh, right, right, right. So I picked something that's not in that list, maybe, you think? Is that what?
Yes, I'm guessing that's what the problem is. Is that if you can edit that list, so if you edit and add processing, maybe it'll allow you to do that.
Okay, let's just try that again. We don't have any business logic that's saying not to reconvert it, but it should have ran. So there's something off. Set field processing estimate status. Let me just make sure that that is in fact the right field there.
Watch it be not. Oh, no, it is. So,
Estimates status. Yeah. Browse. Oh, yeah. This is a good one. Yeah. Again, this is a pure FileMaker thing. It's
yes.
context. Remember that this script that we ran, the script that we ran here,
Oh, it's not necessarily sitting in the layout.
bingo. Right? So
The good old
go to
reliable. Are
layout
you
and
actually
do
on the
layout.
layout that you want to be on? Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Right. And that's, that kind of stuff happens. And that's why you need the ability to have that helper file to be transparent there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we'll spend as much time or more time actually debugging the business logic than we
Mm-hmm.
do actually creating the interface. And we want to do one more thing here too. We should actually take the user back to the estimates table. So I'm going to, because there should be no longer on this record anymore once they're done. Once they've converted it, we should probably take them back over to here, which is /estimates. So I'm going to add a path, and the path will be /estimates. This is the equivalent of go to layout, and that's it. That should take us back. So we show the modal, and we navigate them back to the other page. So let's try that out. Let's see what do we have left. And we haven't tried it with this new context either. Hopefully the original layout thing works proper. We should probably
Mm-hmm.
explicitly say which layout it is. Probably would be safer. Let's try a different one that's got left. Is this one is active? No, that one's done. Okay,
Oh,
this is the
we
last
got
one that
this
we
one.
have that we haven't burned out, right? So um, move estimate. So I don't want to click that. And this is what number is it? 4. So let's jump to estimate 4 right here. And okay, will it blend? Let's see. Boom. Thank you very much. We've converted. This one now says has changed. There's something off about this. And I think pretty sure I saved the script this time, right? So yeah, so there's something off about our save. I don't trust that we're on the right layout.
Yeah.
And again, we can go through and debug though, right? It's a FileMaker program. It's not a BetterForms
Mm-hmm.
issue here. It's really just a FileMaker thing when I run this script. So I would go back to my helper file, debug it, and probably explicitly say, go to layout and then, call that layout, make sure I'm
Yeah,
on that
specifically
same
called the
record.
600A or whatever it is.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Right. There it is there. And let's blow that one out. And hopefully set field estimates processing, commit the record, and that should be enough because we're in the right context.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just run her again. Oh, here's an example of the responsiveness here, right? That was over there, and now it's over here. That button, right? So they basically says on a large screen, make the stuff flow from left to right. On a smaller screen, make it flow from top to bottom. Um, all right. Well, bonus points if we can figure out what we did wrong there. There's some little obvious thing.
You didn't necessarily click the button again. You just hit create an estimate. I don't think you.
Oh, right. You're right. I was on the wrong page. Thank you.
Estimate 04. There you go.
We're on
Pop.
4, right? We're on 4 now.
Let's try it again. Be nice to us. There
Boom!
we go.
Yay! All right. So it was just
Context
for
issues.
context,
Bless.
right? All right. What I
Okay.
used to, that's not a new word for FileMaker, is it? All right. So
Oh, it
so let's
automatically made that yellow. Huh.
yeah, because we've arbitrarily set these values to various colors,
Cool.
right? We could change those colors as well, but we've set that value now to that particular color for these like
Nice.
active processing and so on.
We have some questions if you want to handle it before I
Please.
let you flee into the void. Um, I think this is really great. Are there situations when you would not use BetterForms or you wouldn't recommend using BetterForms?
Yeah, there are. Um, One of the things that I'll tell you about, like what, we get lots of inquiries and things like that, and lots of developers. Sometimes people will say, "Well, I have a team of 8 people, and I don't like maintaining FileMaker. So can we switch it all to Better Forms?" And that to me makes no sense. It's such a small team. You're in control of that team, even if they're virtual. You're still kind of in control of their software. And it's a switch. So it's a sideways movement. You're adding a whole bunch of extra engineering because you have to build a new front end. You don't have to change too much of
Hmm.
your business logic and very little in terms of fields. We added an as JSON field, we added an ID Better Forms field, maybe
Hmm.
3 fields we added, and some scripts that have maybe 5 to 10 lines and hardly anything. Very late footprint.
Hmm.
But you're going to do all of this work and now you have this web experience, but were your employees really hindered by FileMaker? Maybe you should just put the effort into FileMaker, clean up that interface.
Hmm.
FileMaker works best when the person using FileMaker is on the payroll, right? And I don't mean
Yep.
that, I don't mean that sarcastically. I mean that means that person's role is they're going to be using the software every day. So if there's quirks, there's bugs, I got to click out of this thing. I got to remember to do that before this works. I don't have to polish all of that. I can get to the 80% done in a FileMaker database,
Hmm.
and that gives 100% functionality.
Yes.
80% on the web doesn't give 100% functionality. You have to polish the web a lot more.
Hmm.
So stick to FileMaker for that. When you have that use case. Where BetterForms works is when the person who's using the app is not your employee. Unless the employee, you got hundreds of employees, like we have one person who's got when you go into like Costco, they have those samplers
Hmm.
and they're doing like sampling.
Yep.
I call it the Costco buffet.
Yes.
We could take gigs on. We're gonna go on the Costco buffet. Yeah, so those people, they do it for the alcohol industry, but it's the same concept. Those samplers, they all have to register what they're taking and what they're doing, giving, and all of this stuff.
Hmm.
And that technically they're employees, but they're kind of casual employees, very much like the one we were talking about, that florist, flower delivery guy.
Hmm.
He's kind of like working at this gig, and I got to wear my nice clothes and show up and sell my product or whatever. We don't want to have to maintain FileMaker or even FileMaker Go for that matter on their devices because there's just too many. There's too much support issue. Everybody has a browser. Everybody can click on a link in an email or in an SMS. So those are the cases where you do use it. The cases that you don't are when a web app simply won't work or a web PWA app. That's the installable one we talked about the other day. When that won't work either, stick to FileMaker.
Yes. Hi, I've been in and out of these sessions, so I apologize if this is a stupid question. Is this system basically building an HTML page with FileMaker Pro as a back end? If so, does FMP act as anything other than the storage, or do any FMP mechanics come into play? And then perhaps my dumbest question, there are no dumb questions, shush. Could you also use FMP at the same time as it is being used as a back end?
Absolutely, you can use it at the same time because we're doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so FileMaker is running in the office. It's running for all the people in accounting and marketing and all those back service people and all of that stuff. It's FileMaker Go. Everything's working the same. The
Mm-hmm.
only difference is you've built an extra portal, which is running scripts in FileMaker. It's accessing FileMaker database and it's running scripts. So it is, to answer the last half of that question, Yes, it is using FileMaker, but it's using FileMaker scripts and the database itself. It's not using any FileMaker UI. It sometimes uses layouts as we had to navigate to some layouts because that's how FileMaker works. To go to the first part of the question, is it building a simple HTML page? Yes and no. It BetterForms technically dynamically, like
Hmm.
it's going to be a hard concept for you, but this page doesn't really exist. Okay, so this page doesn't, I mean, there's HTML underneath, but it's not saved anywhere. We save the definition of the page. We save over here, put this, over there, put that, over here, draw this. But we don't actually write the HTML code out. That's actually happens in your browser. So it's dynamic.
Okay.
Believe it or not, FileMaker is dynamic. This layout is all just data, right? We always talk about FileMaker as a database, but when I go into layout mode, I'm editing another database. I'm editing the database that defines my schema,
Yes, the
right?
Draco
So this
and
is,
yeah.
when I move this around, that's changing some data, some XY position of something. So it's the same sort of thing, but it's on the web.
Yes, you don't interact with that level of FileMaker very much. Or
Yeah, we don't see the data. We just see the
yes.
interface. And just like here, when I'm doing this and I'm moving around stuff on here,
Hmm.
when I'm I'm changing this yellow so ugly. Um, when I'm doing stuff on here, let's get rid of that right now. Um, I'm not thinking about the code that's happening behind there. If I wanted to see it, I can do it, but I'm not thinking about it.
There you go.
Hope that
Uh,
answers that question.
I think it does. Could you embed FileMaker Pro within a website or web direct within a website?
Okay, so you can't embed FileMaker client into a website, but you can embed into a website like a marketing site. You can invent a web direct page,
Hmm.
certainly. Um, you'll have some peculiarities of web direct. You can embed. We talked today about pages like about this page here
Hmm.
that had this here, and that is an actual separate app, FileMaker app with a web interface that's embedded into a third-party page. And we
Hmm.
also looked at that Logic Space app as well. So those are examples of that. So in short, the answer is yes.
There you go. Okay, those are our questions for today, so I'm good to wrap up if you are.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah.
So tomorrow we have UX adventures or UI adventures?
Yeah, I believe Pearson's going to come join us tomorrow, and we'll I think he's going to show us like just different things that he's designed and maybe talk about some UX principles and some ways of looking at web apps. I've talked about it already, but web apps about how, the names of buttons and like they should be like the verb of the thing that you do and
Hmm.
placeholders and something else we call empty states. And I think he's going to talk about a lot of that stuff that we don't always think about in FileMaker land.
Which is that'll be a lot of fun actually. It's always fun to listen to designers talk. Oh, we got two questions that snuck in.
Mhm.
This is the nature of things, they sneak in when I'm not looking.
All good.
Could you build disconnected pages to sync later?
Yes. Let me see if I got an example of that. Well, I think this app here that we used the other day, it's this one here. This one here, when I click on sessions, you notice they're there instantly. There's a ton of data, but the page loaded like instantly. It was actually already on my server, and then right now it flashed and then it scrolled. The reason it flashed is it updated itself because there was an update in
Mm-hmm.
some part of the software stack. So it refreshed because I haven't visited this one, not the dev version anyway. So this data is technically saved locally in the browser. And sometimes you want to do that. This is not secure stuff. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not showing a bunch of, people's contact information and banking informations here. This is stuff that's publicly available, so it's totally safe to do. You wouldn't normally do that or cache locally unless you wouldn't normally cache locally anything that has to be secure. And in BetterForms, it's really easy to do that. In order to cache something, like we had a value of something, I'm going to go to my accounts page in here. So you can see here's an account page and it has like first name, last name, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. I haven't used it for anything in here, but this is like an account page. So let's go and do that, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Yes. Okay. So if we look at the data, there's that first name field there, and let's look at the data under the hood. Oops, sorry. And actually, let me just see what that data key is. Charles. I just want to see where that data is saved. Okay, so it's saved under a key called user dot first name. Okay, this user object. So maybe I wanted to save that data. So when I refresh my page, it was already pre-filled out. Normally in a real app, this would be fetched from the database. Where
Mm-hmm.
we can just simply add a key called user, and it's an object. And then over here, we can see cache in browser, cache in tab. So I say cache in browser, and now that data will survive. As soon as they update it, it'll save and it'll be cached locally. So it's really easy to do that. So if I put John Smith, and I believe I should be able to refresh, and John Smith's there. That didn't come from the database. That was cached. I just turned on caching. So that's persistent. You'd want to use this if you have a really nasty big application of some form and people are on a mobile device and they lose connection and you don't want them to have to fill out everything. At the same time, you don't want to pollute your database with half filled out applications. That's a good use of that. Or if you want to cache something like a bunch of these sessions, it just has that flag turned on. So the minute these files here, the minute I do that, turn that on, it'll automatically save. So really, really easy.
There you go. Like PHP is a server base or rendered in the server.
Great question. PHP, pre-hypertext processor,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is traditionally, okay, PHP has changed. It's evolved over the years. I
Mm-hmm.
used to be a PHP developer myself ages ago. And PHP pre-builds pre-hypertext, right? So it takes HTML, hypertext markup language. Um, it takes that and it mixes the data into the HTML tags, and then it sends it out the door. But a shift has changed to have more Ajax-like, which basically means asynchronous calls back to the server,
Mm-hmm.
um, has changed so that what they do now is they use frameworks like Vue on the front end, and the front end just talks to the PHP as an API, and it fetches that data. BetterForms works more like that secondary model where it's got data, it's got a construction on the front of a page, um, like this page here. And when I click on that, it's doing a call to FileMaker to the back end to the API and fetching new data. So it's what's called a single page application. This page doesn't actually change. The URL sort of looks like it changes, but it's the same app all the time. And it just does calls and fetches the data. So it's sort of similar to modern PHP, but not traditional PHP, as you mentioned.
There you
Hopefully.
go. Hopefully that answers the question. Let me know if it doesn't. With that being, actually, well, let me know tomorrow if it doesn't.
uh,
uh, but otherwise, I think we're good, Charles. Seriously, thank you very much. Thank you for staying the extra 30
yeah,
to answer
always,
all the
always. And,
questions.
and in between now and tomorrow, Margaret, if anybody wants to get a hold of us, just jump to our page at fmbetterforms.com, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can just click there's a button there, and you can click and you can have my ear for an hour.
Yes, please do. Feel free to reach out. As
Awesome.
very obvious, Charles is extremely friendly. So
Yeah, I'm
feel
nervous.
free. All right. Thank you, everybody, for
Okay,
coming.
awesome.
Have a lovely day. Goodbye.